Shea Gerlinger is a psychotherapist who lived in and loved the Bay Area for most of her life. She's an avid hiker, lover of dogs, burritos, puzzles, Orange Theory fitness, and stand-up comedy. As an ovarian cancer survivor, she is committed to raising awareness and supporting research for ovarian cancer, with an emphasis on rare subtypes. Through the course of her cancer journey, she underwent fertility treatment and ultimately surrogacy, and believes strongly that every person with a connection to cancer in California should know about the law SB 600 passed in 2019 to ensure health plans cover fertility preservation for patients undergoing medical treatments that can compromise their ability to become pregnant, such as chemotherapy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shea Gerlinger.
Hello, my name is Shea, and I'm deeply honored that BACC has asked me to share a piece of my story with you all today. My sincere hope is that some element of my journey might resonate or even provide hope to you wherever you are or whatever your role in your relationship with cancer. My cancer story starts in 2018. I was a year into my marriage, and I was the healthiest and happiest I'd ever been in my life. That summer, I had recruited a group of friends to hike the Tahoe Rim Trail with me. It was something I'd always wanted to do, and since we were trying to get pregnant, I was hoping that this was my last opportunity for a while. And in between the legs of the hike, I felt something in my lower abdomen and thought, oh, could it be the pregnancy we were hoping for? So I took a pregnancy test, and it was confirmed we were pregnant. Unfortunately, a miscarriage came soon after, so I assumed the thing I felt in my stomach would go away. Only it didn't. I wasn't particularly worried. I have no family history of cancer, and I had no other symptoms. Thought maybe a hernia or a fibroid. So I went to my primary care doctor, and she took an ultrasound and ordered some labs. And she told me that my CA 125 was slightly elevated, but that the ultrasound showed a fairly large pelvic mass. And so she referred me to a gynecologic oncologist, which sounded a little scary, but I wasn't that worried after all. There could be several explanations, and I was secretly hoping for a dermoid cyst. I'd always heard of those things, with hair and teeth, and I like to have funny stories at dinner parties, so that's what I was hoping for. So 2 weeks later, I had a surgery to remove the mass, which was essentially my left ovary, and took out my appendix and a couple of lymph nodes. And I woke from surgery, and I was told that the preliminary results were benign. So I was relieved, just an ovarian cyst. I still had my right ovary and my uterus. Life could continue. It wasn't until my 2-week post-op appointment when I learned that the final pathology results were stage 1C3, mucinous ovarian cancer. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Also hit my mom pretty heavy. She actually almost started to faint, took it worse than I did. So they had to kick me off the exam table and put her on. And I still make fun of her for that to this day. So at age 35, my journey with mucinous ovarian cancer began. If you did a quick Google search, it would tell you that it's extremely rare and notorious for not responding to chemotherapy. Learning any more than that's pretty challenging because there's not a lot of research. At that moment, I felt so alone at navigating my path. And that is when I found BACC. I finally felt like I had a team to guide me through this incredibly daunting world of being a cancer patient. I met with Erica to help me translate my pathology report. I don't know how she does that. It's 17 pages that they say is in English, but I don't know what those words actually mean. And she also helped me understand all of the published research to date on my subtype, which, like I said, didn't take very long. There wasn't much of it. I was trying to understand my diagnosis and decide on a treatment plan, and in parallel, find a treatment or fertility center who could help me explore egg harvesting options in the face of pending treatment. I wasn't really thrilled with the original treatment recommendations, and since I was exploring preserving some embryos, I decided to get a second and third and actually fourth opinion. And I'm so thankful I did, because each expert I met with gave me a different recommendation. Although every expert's recommendation was different, they did all say the same thing. We don't know. There's no data. I live in this data-free zone, and I felt like I had to make these potentially life-saving decisions about what to do in complete ambiguity because there's no standard of care for me. So I felt like I needed to travel the country to figure out what I wanted to do for myself. After weighing the pros and cons, I decided on a treatment plan: 6 rounds of chemotherapy that's typically used for GI cancers. Because I had these cancerous cells in my peritoneal fluid, felt like we had to try chemotherapy and hope that it would respond. So I had my first infusion on my 36th birthday. Happy birthday to me. And then I spent the next 5 months getting used to the ups and downs of each treatment cycle. The side effects were quite challenging, but I actually had more good days than I expected. And I was able to continue exercising and connecting with friends and family. I worked when I felt well, and I was grateful to have other things to focus on. I finished chemotherapy and went for my post treatment scan, and I was devastated when it showed a growth on my one remaining ovary. The name of the game had always been stop it before it spreads. And now I was faced with the possibility that not only did it spread, but the only tool we have to fight this disease doesn't work for me. At this point, I was deeply terrified. I underwent a second surgery, and the results confirmed my worst nightmare. The second tumor was cancerous, and my peritoneal fluid was still positive. Unfortunately, my tumor markers were normal at that moment, telling me that they're a fairly useless tool for me. My difficult to treat cancer failed the one and only treatment option: what to do. So I toured the country again. I met with experts again, and again, I was told different treatment recommendations. I ultimately decided to have a third surgery, this time a hysterectomy and HIPEC, hyperthermic intraperitoneal chemotherapy, followed by 6 rounds of carbotaxol and a year of Avastin. The hysterectomy and HIPEC surgery went amazingly well. They removed a bunch of tissue. They visually inspected my entire abdominal cavity. They took out my uterus and then filled the whole area with 106-degree cisplatin and miomycin C. Because of that, the recovery was pretty gnarly. And after 1 week, I was feeling a lot better and was home and improving. And 2 or 3 weeks later, got the final pathology and cytology results, and they were completely negative. And for the first time since my journey began, I felt like I was making progress. The no evidence of disease proclamation called into question whether or not I actually needed more chemotherapy and Avastin as planned and decided to be done. And that brings us to today. Just over 1 year ago, my life turned upside down yet again, but this time because our surrogate gave birth to our son, Jackson. So this story to me is just as much about fertility and motherhood as it is about cancer. It's about being in the driver's seat of my life and my family and my treatment. It's about the hope that comes from knowing that we have the power to forge our own path despite the curveballs that are thrown at us. And I consider myself connected as a sister and friend to each of you. And being a member of this community has provided me such strength and hope, and I am eternally grateful to be on this journey together. And thank you.
Given the personal nature of the questions one might have about Shea's story, if you would like to connect with Shea directly, we ask that you email our helpline at info@bayareacancer.org, and we will share your information with Shea so she can reach out to you directly. Thank you.